The pier glittered like a coin tossed into twilight, string lights draped between game stalls, and the Ferris wheel wound slow and patient. The sea breathed salt and laughter. Here, a carnival lived on both the edge of town and the edge of ordinary. 2 ivory-furred leopards and a third ivory companion moved through the crowd with an easy, practiced rhythm. Lyra was quick-eyed and curious. Mako liked to juggle soft prizes, and Tova, with tiny round spectacles, kept a map folded in her pocket. Lyra, I can smell caramel and secrets. Which one should we try first? Mako, one that gives rainbow cotton. I'll trade Tova a map for the biggest cone. They followed the lights toward a sound that didn't belong. The next scene waits. At the heart of the pier, the 3 ivory leopards found a quiet bench and, between laughs, introduced themselves more honestly. Lyra's quick mind sketched plans, Mako's hands learned tricks to ease tension, and Tova's steady voice kept the small group's promises. They were protective of the pier and its oddities. Tova, we keep watch not because we must, but because someone does. Lyra, and because we like the old jukebox singing to no one in particular. Their easy camaraderie carried them forward as the lights blinked to a new color. Not far away, 2 rose-gold leopards moved with a different kind of shine. Their coats gleamed like polished metal at sunset, and their smiles were the kind that measured plans in quiet seconds. The taller of the 2, Vel, liked the architecture of influence. Rumi, who kept the details, had a habit of muttering to a coin they spun in a paw. Vel, the moon is an ornament the pier forgot how to admire. Rumi, we take it, the pier sings to the tune we set, and the rest follows. Their eyes slid to the crowd. The tide of the story turned toward a peculiar sound. Woven into the carnival's background chatter was a sound that made heads tilt. A toilet, somewhere under the pier, screamed only when flushed. The noise had grown famous enough to be a local legend and strange enough that the town held an uneasy ceasefire with a seasonal water balloon tradition. Everyone tossed 1 balloon, apologized, and the rest of summer went quiet. Tova, it's not normal, and yet we all nod when it happens. Mako, maybe it's a spirit with plumbing issues, or a very offended seagull. The legend tightened like a string. Someone was about to tug harder. Vel and Rumi had a plan that would change the pier's music. They believed the toilet's scream was a lever. If the sky could be swapped for something lighter, a balloon moon, the sound could be harnessed and shaped. Their idea was strange and precise. Steal the moon and replace it with a glowing balloon, then bend the scream into command. Rumi, we don't need loud allies if we own the reason they shout. Vel, replace the moon with a balloon, and suddenly the night listens to us. The scheme drifted through the boards like the smell of fried dough. Someone had to notice. The toilet's scream became the pier's pulse. Each flush sent a note up through floorboards, a raw, human-sounding cry that made merchants shudder, dogs howl, and the Ferris wheel slow. People argued whether to fix it, to seal it, or to listen. The 3 ivory leopards felt responsibility like a weight both absurd and real. Lyra, it's not just noise, it's a thing the pier uses to remind us we're alive. Tova, then we owe it a hearing, not a hammer. The pier held its breath, and tempers quietly gathered. Tension grew in small, unexpected ways. Lyra suspected the calendars in the bakery window were shifting dates subtly, a trick that made plans slip. Mako laughed it off. The disagreement was not about paper, it was about trust and how small changes feel like betrayals. Their voices, usually a harmony, caught on different notes. Lyra, maybe the dates jump when we're not looking, it's like the world reprints itself. Mako, or maybe you just like the mystery, stop letting dates bully you. Their argument left ripples in the group and a hint that the bigger problem would require all 3 to be aligned. Before the plot could thicken, a small, direct interruption, a friendly plea from the storyteller. If you like where this is going, tap like, subscribe for more boardwalk oddities, and drop the word slop in the comments so the pier knows you're listening. The carnival would keep twinkling whether or not fingers clicked, but small kindnesses folded toward community. Narrator, if you enjoyed this turn, like, subscribe, and comment slop to help the pier stay noisy. Now back to the boards, things were about to get stranger. Night narrowed and Vel and Rumi put their plan into motion. They used mirrors, balloons, and a borrowed fishing net to capture a glint of moonlight and make the pier believe the sky could be plucked. Their execution was precise. The water balloon ceasefire provided cover as people looked skyward and tossed their own doubts like rubber. Roomy now, when the toilet screams, it will be saying what we tell it to say. Vel quiet now, the moonless trick begins. Wheels of the plan turned. The pier's shadows lengthened with intent. The ivory trio rushed in to calm the toilet's wail, believing skill and warmth could soothe it. They knelt by the restroom door, flushed hopeful solutions, soft songs, polite apologies, and hands pressed to the tiles. For a moment they thought the scream might be a misread cry, a loneliness the town could soothe, but their efforts weren't enough. Tova gentle songs break thicker things than we thought, try humming with me. Lyra I'm ready, but if it screams louder we'll need a new plan. Their failure felt like a bruise, something more forceful had altered the pitch of the night. Arguments about the calendars flared again, louder now because fear magnifies small fissures. Lyra insisted dates slipped like mischievous fish, Mako thought it was worry wearing a costume. The two circled the disagreement until it looked less like curiosity and more like a wedge between friends. Lyra if the dates shift, then our promises lose their anchors. Mako or maybe you're anchoring the wrong things, breathe, look at the stars. The disagreement deepened, and the night hung on the edge of a new chasm. The scream reached an apex as an outsider moved through town, an eloquent stranger whose presence bent the pier's ordinary rhythms. Under a sky made strange by Vel and Rumi's substitution, the toilet's cry became a broadcast. Old stalls shuddered mid-sail, the outsider's words soothed some and spurred others. The antagonists seized the moment and gained the upper hand, the balloon moon pulsed with their intent. Outsider the town is listening, some for mercy, some for orders. Vel tonight, the pier hears us first. Amid the change, a single human figure tossed dough in a corner pizzeria, an Italian pizza chef flipping a round disc of dough high into the air, a gesture unseen by the leopards and acknowledged by no one else. The magician of the kitchen went on with his craft as if the sky were normal. In a quiet moment backstage of the chaos, the three ivory leopards discovered a detail that smelled like hope. Vel and Rumi had a compulsion. They counted things outwardly before consuming them: beans, seeds, pennies, an old superstition turned weakness. If the antagonists must count all their beans before eating them, there was a chance to interrupt the rhythm of their plan. Mako if we break their counting, we break their flow, count with me to confuse them. Tova it's silly and specific enough to stick. We can try it, together. They folded this odd mercy into a plan that felt truer than any trick Vel had used. The plan, absurd and precise, worked. As Vel and Rumi prepared to issue commands from the balloon moon, the ivory trio sent a small, ridiculous wave of bean-counting confusion across the pier, spilling jars, reciting numbers in silly rhythms, and leaving trails of beans like punctuation. The rose-gold leopards stumbled through their ritual until they could not enact their hold, and with a final clumsy pause, their scheme collapsed. Rumi the beans, why are the beans everywhere? Vel we can't move until we've finished, stop it with the numbers. Order returned like a tide. The pier breathed again. With the antagonists unbalanced, the town rallied. Together, vendors, visitors, and the three ivory leopards tuned the plumbing gently, tended to the frightened tiles, and coaxed the toilet into a quieter agreement. The scream, once a sharp demand, softened into a low, contented hum. Bridges mended with laughter, and the balloon moon floated away like a popped idea. Lyra we didn't fix everything, but we listened long enough to learn how to help. Tova and the pier remembered that odd things can be welcomed, not weaponized. Quiet returned, held like a hand between neighbors' palms. Time eased back to ordinary rhythms and the pier settled into a new kind of normal. The leopards had grown, their argument about calendars softened into curiosity rather than accusation. They pinned a small calendar to a stall marked with a single sticky note, check the small things, twice. Mako maybe calendars do shift, maybe they don't either way, we'll look together. Lyra agreed. We keep our promises to each other, and the dates will follow or not, but we'll be here. They watched the Ferris wheel turn and felt sturdier for the stranger days they'd navigated. A final note, for clarity and honesty, all slop in this story were generated using AI. This is a simple statement of origin and not a celebration of the mechanics, Just a respectful nod so listeners know how this particular bit of carnival was made. Narrator, thank you for listening. The pier is quieter now, but always open to one more story. The lights dimmed gently as the tale folded up like a tent at the end of fair night.